Welcome to this second edition of the Firewire Show. I am Dave from TVR Creators, and we're going to make weekly content for you on the best cameras, the best gear, talk about, the best ways to film your video, and so much more. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe now for weekly content, and don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified on every video we post. So do not go anywhere, we've got loads jam-packed today. In this episode, I will be doing a brief camera setup, the best and easiest way to get great results in your video as a YouTuber. Very easy setup, and also I'm going to look over some very affordable cameras that you could perhaps look at, where there'll be links in the description if you'd like to look at them, and I'll be briefly talking about each one as we go along. So without further ado, let's crack on with the value. You're going to get value from this video. Oh yeah! So the first thing I'm going to share with you is a brief camera setup. Now I'm going to use the M50 just because that is our main powerhouse, if you will, the flagship of the TVR creators, the TVR universe, if you so will. So the easy way to set up is, if you have a M50, and this goes with any mirrorless camera that you may have, is usually they come with a kit lens. You can save yourself about £100 or dollars if you get it with body only, if you've already got a lens that's compatible, the right mount. But I would recommend getting yourself a camera if you haven't got it already. But if you have got it, go with this setup. So basically, we would go with something like the Canon M50, which is an absolutely amazing camera. If you don't already have the M1, I highly recommend the Mark II. But if you don't have this, as I've just said, goes with any setup. Now, briefly, then I would highly recommend, here we are, we're back in the room. I would highly recommend setting up your mirrorless camera with a tripod. Little power tip for the M50, but this could be seen on other cameras as well. Try to get one with a flip screen, which just makes it so much more handy when you're recording yourself, as obviously a lot of us creators film ourselves. And keep the cap lens on before you plug it in, because it's very easy to scratch the lens. You don't want to do that. On this one, the cap is there. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. The cap is there. Just briefly take it off. Very simple to do. Look at that, take it off. Oh, there we go. And plug it in. And you're pretty much ready to go. Now, what I would highly recommend, once your mirrorless camera is set up, it's as easy as that. I would highly recommend a tripod. And we have one over there. Over there it is. Very good tripod that is. Costs about £40 or dollars. And you don't have to get that. The tripod I'm using with this camera at the moment only cost me about £15 about 15, 20 years ago, and I know you can still get them, so you don't have to get an expensive tripod. But I would highly recommend a tripod regardless of the camera you're using, because your tripod will be your best friend in any situation. So I would highly recommend that. And I mean that, if you're using a camera or phone, I would highly recommend that. And just briefly, actually, a little power tip. If you are using a phone, you get one of these separately, or one that comes with a tripod, get yourself a phone mount. This is very, very good for just connecting your phone. I used this morning on our YouTube Shorts, so go and check it out after this video, or if you watch us replay, check it out later. And this is just a very good gadget. It just connects safely on top of your tripod, and you're ready to go. And more and more of us are using our phones as creators, so this could be a little hidden gem in your collection of film gear. Now, I'll just briefly throw that under there. I'll probably lose that. So once you've got this on the tripod, you're ready to go. And I highly recommend put it onto film mode. You don't have to. You can play around with the shutter speed and all the other jazz. But I would highly recommend that. If you've got the kit lens for the M50, I would put it onto 15mm, which is the first setting on as the kit lens clicks, and I highly recommend that because it gives a wider shot, which is really good if you're filming indoors or just filming yourself, or the camera isn't too far away. Maybe the camera's about here, say, and basically, if you have it on anything closer than that, then you're going to end up sort of like this. When you come to film and editing, you'll just have this giant head. It looked like some weird music video, and that's not very pretty. Especially if you've got a big head like me. So I would highly recommend that as your brief setup. You're probably thinking, is that it, Dave? Yeah, I'm going to be showing you some cameras today that are very easy to use. I come from a background of filming films and videos where I literally would have point and shoot cameras. I'll get to them later in the video. So do not go away. If you only just joined us, hit the subscribe button if you're getting value, hit the like button, ring the bell if you want more value from us today. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be sharing something really awesome with you. A very affordable camera that could be a really cool first camera if you want something separate from your phone. So that is the brief setup I would go with. Put it into film mode, and you've got a really cool record button, and literally off you go. And if you want more detail and how to actually set up your video and all that jazz, I've got loads of videos here on the channel to check them out later when you got a bit of spare time. So that's literally the easiest camera setup I can literally give to you. And if you get a tripod like I've got one over there, I can never point behind me, and that actually comes apart a bit like a selfie stick, and that's really cool when you're walking around or filming outside. And you're probably thinking, Dave, does this camera not have a microphone? It does, actually. And if you're recording indoors, it's okay, it's not bad, but I would highly recommend getting yourself an external microphone, a shotgun mic as it's called, like this, or bigger, if you just want to improve your audio. And another audio power tip, as audio is 50% of any of your videos, this goes for phones or cameras. If you get yourself a wire clip-on mic or Lavelle mic, I can never say that word, or get a wireless one, that's really good for improving your audio, especially if you're recording outside. And sometimes there should be a link to this in the description. You can actually get one for about £15, and it does improve the audio on most cameras, unless you spend like over £100. But just bear in mind, if you get a wireless one, it does cost quite a bit more. But that's just a very easy tip. You can just clip it on yourself, or sometimes what I do when I'm doing my videos is I have a second tripod. Again, they're not expensive. Clip it on that, just out shot, and that really improves the audio. It's just a great way to improve the video. And if you've got really good audio like we got today in this live stream, if you're interested, we're using the Zoom H1N dictaphone, which is this little microphone here. Brilliant. At the moment, I believe it's roughly about £97 or dollars. I actually got it for over 100, and that was about a year or two ago. So it obviously is going down all the time, and that is value. I'm just going to briefly take this apart. So do not go away, because we've got some absolute value for you today, as I'm going to go going through some of the cameras you could think about as a creator. You're going to get value from this video. Alright, so if you only just joined us, I'm Dave from TVR Creators, and I make weekly content on cameras, camera reviews, tutorials, film gear, cameras, tripods, lighting, audio, and so much more. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe now. In this video, we're going to be looking at affordable cameras, and I just want to do a brief camera setup for you, because I thought that might be interesting. Now, the first camera you might not even think of, or maybe you have, so I might be just pleading to the choir here, is your phone. That is your first protocol. That is ultimately even a closer friend than your tripod. And I'm sure 99.9% of you have a phone of some sort, and it will take really good photos, really good video, and you don't need me to go into detail on that. I'm sure all of you know how good your phones are, especially if you've got, like, you know, the latest, you know, iPhone or Google Pixel and that sort of thing, or the latest Samsung. They're all fantastic phones, and if they're only like a year or two old, or even if they're 5 years old, they all take really good video in both HD and 4K. So that's something to think about. But you might just think, okay, Dave, what's the best way to do that? So if you're filming a short, I'd highly recommend downwards like that. And there you go, you can see my camera in the reflection, which is really cool. And that's how you do a short. So you can see the reflection in there. And if you're doing some filming, just normal filming, if you're filming a YouTube video, if you're filming a film and you're using your phone, I would highly recommend the back camera. A lot of modern phones have 3 or 4 lenses now, and have it sort of that direction, using one of those, using one of these. You can see it just attaches like that. Put it in the middle and use the back end hang on, bear in mind, I can't think, there we go. Use the, the front facing camera, whatever you want to call it. And that is just a very good, that always has the best lens on whatever phone that you're using. And that will produce really good video when you're doing your filming. And that's just something to bear in mind. And obviously, if you do want to use the screen, and just bear in mind, if you are recording yourself, try to look at the selfie lens, because otherwise you're looking at the screen and that might show a bit disconnect because you're looking over here while you're trying to talk to your audience and your audience are here. So it's massively important to look at the lens wherever possible because it just gives that nice connection. That's something you want to think about. You want to think about your connection with your audience. If you haven't got that connection, people just don't care. If you've got poor audio, people will lose interest. If you're looking over here, which to be fair, I probably have been for most of this video, but that's something to bear in mind when you're filming your own video, and that's something you want to bear in mind. So I'd highly recommend starting out with your phone. Now, for those of you that want to think about other cameras, I want to give you some few affordable options that you may want to think about. This is a Canon point and shoot camera. I can never remember the name of it, so bear with me. It is, if you're interested, it is the HF R806. I'm not sure if you can actually buy this or not, but there will be a latest version. I've had this for about 3 or 4 years. There's similar versions. It probably is on there if you look on Amazon, or any online store or your local tech shop. And what I like about these are the type of cameras that I started when doing video 15, 20 years ago. And I would have 1 or 2 of these on the tripod doing different shots. And they do have quite good internal microphones. Just bear in mind, if you are recording outside, you will get a lot of wind noise. So you might want to find one with an external jack. The only problem with them in the modern times is I found a lot of them are made up brands. For some weird reason, quite a lot of the proper ones don't have jacks. I'm not quite sure why. I assume it's because they've just bought these for people that are taking video on their holiday and aren't too serious about video. But if you want something that's not too expensive, you can get one of these for about 200, let's say, pounds or dollars, or whatever part of the country you come from, the world even. But these are just really good. They produce really good HD. You can get 4K versions of these now, and they do produce really nice video. The only thing I would recommend, they do have great zoom on these cameras, but they're not very wide angles sometimes. So sometimes I found in the past I've had to have the camera quite far back. So if you are recording indoors, it's not always the best option. You could find yourself a bit like this on a lot of shots. That's not always a prettiest shot. But just bear in mind, for £200, you are getting quite a lot for that, but they do give very good stabilization. So if you're holding it, if you haven't got the steadiest of hand, that's something to think about. But again, going back to your best friend, if you've got your best friend, the tripod, you won't have to worry. And a little power tip, actually, for those of you who are beginners or starting out, is if you've got a camera on a tripod, something you might want to think about is just holding the tripod. So rather than the camera, if you're doing a walking shot, for example, and you might want to hold yourself, so you got the camera like that, and as you're walking along, if that sort of makes any sense, that's just a really good way to get a really nice still shot. And obviously it comes with practice, but it's far better than trying to hold it yourself, because if you're trying to do video like the favourite uncle's trying to do or whatever, I don't know, I'm just using that as an example. You might get a bit of shake it baby, as I call it, and that's not always the best video. But I would definitely recommend one of these as something to think about, and something that's not talked about a lot, just because they just don't have the lenses that a lot of creators like. But if you're just starting out for £200 and you might be able to get one of these second hand, that's something to bear in mind. I don't think I've got a link to that, but don't worry. Now, if you've just joined us, I'm Dave from TVR Creators, and here on the Firewire Show, we do weekly content on cameras, gear, tutorial, and so much more. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe and like now. Now, briefly, I just want to share with you some cool things that you may not know about. If you don't know already, if you sign into YouTube, ring the bell on our channel to get all the latest videos exactly as they come, so you could be the first people to watch. So the more of our content you watch, the more the universe shows it to other people, and you help the channel grow. Something else you can do if you want to check out our merch. Oh yes, I'm going to have a swig of drink because my voice is probably going, We do have a link to this, plus all our t-shirts in the background if you would like to support the channel in that way. We've got more content on the way. We've got some more cameras to talk about, so do not go anywhere. I just want to share these things with you. If you want to get the latest news and what's going on the channel, you can check us out on Twitter, just TVR Creators. A lot of you are connected with us on Instagram. You can check us out there if you're new here. Obviously, we also have a community Facebook, a link to that also in the description if you want to share your own content as a growing creator. And also, if you just want to learn about content creation, get camera reviews, you're unsure what cameras to get, and you want to know about even more detail that I'm talking about today, then we have loads of videos of camera reviews and gear and so much more. So that's something to think about. So I just want to plug, actually, we've got a really cool video masterclass which is free here on YouTube. There's a link to that on the live stream. There's a link to that in the description on the pinned comment. And if you still can't find it, or you've thought about it a week later, just go on our channel, just go down the playlist, and it's about halfway down the playlist of video masterclass. It's free, it's on YouTube, you don't have to log in or anything. It's about sort of 40 minutes long or so, and it just goes into much more detail about setting up your camera and some of the things you might want to think about when filming your own videos. Just go into much more detail, and for those of you that just want to learn a bit more, that might be something that's interesting to you, so go and check it out. Absolute value. You're going to get value from this video. Alright, so we talked about the phone that we all have, which is definitely the first thing to think about when, thinking of cameras. What's the best camera for YouTube? Most affordable cameras, a camera you've already got, the best way to start. And if you're unsure when to start before you're ready, start recording now. We also do a really cool short this morning, which you might like. Now, the next thing I wanted to recommend, we've looked at point and shoot cameras, is our favourite, the flagship of TVR creators, the Canon M50. Now, we technically have the M1, and it's very good. If you don't already have this or something similar, I would highly recommend the Mark II. The only real main difference is about £50 or dollars difference, and the main difference is really a few more settings and the fact you can do clean HDMI if you want to use it for live streaming, which basically just means it makes it easier to use. But you can use this for live streaming technically using the Canon plugin, and it turns it into webcam. It's something we should do, but it is quite fiddly and there's lots of things. It doesn't always work and all this jazz. I personally just prefer webcams because they're plug in and go, but that's just my personal opinion. But why do I love this camera? Well, for those of you that have been around here a while, I won't go into massive detail just because we've got loads of videos on this. There is a link in the description if you want to look at how good the Mark II is. But just briefly, it has a really nice kit lens, which is great for video and photo. You want to get yourself a mirrorless camera that has a flip screen personally, just because it's very useful when you're sort of recording yourself, and you can see what you're doing. Just ensure, again, the power tip, that you're looking at the lens. It just makes it, more professional, gives that connection with the audience, making it far better than, if you're looking over here or looking at the screen, because I have, especially my earlier videos when I started doing this weekly a couple of years ago, people will comment and they will notice that if they don't, and that might put some people off. People, if they don't feel like, it's funny, people will pick up on little things like that, so just bear that in mind. What's really cool about this, it has some very easy settings. It has an easy record button if you're just doing video. It has a viewfinder if you want to do that cool photo, if you just want to go out and about taking photos. So basically, in short, the Canon M50 Mark I, Mark II is a brilliant all-round camera, and you can get one of these a bit more expensive. It's about sort of $500-600 depending on what comes with it. We do have links to this in the description, so go and check them out. But what I will say is this is a great all-round camera, and something we talked about earlier, it has a microphone jack. I can't forget to mention that, which is really handy, especially if you're recording outside or if you just want to improve your audio. That is a must-have for any creator. So this could be your first or second camera if you've got a bit more money, or you save behind you a bit and that sort of jazz, or use affiliate links and your branding to, help pay for these sort of things. But if you've got the money already and you don't mind spending a little bit more, I would highly recommend the M50 as a fantastic all-round camera as a creator, YouTuber, filmmaker, etc., because this really is the camera for video and photography. So go and check it out. Do not go anywhere, because in a moment I'm going to share with you a brilliant potential first camera, which is very affordable, a very affordable camera that you might want to check out. You will want to check out because it's a brilliant little camera. It's basically a mini version of this, so do not go anywhere. You're going to get value from this video. And as you probably realise actually from that little mini clip I keep showing occasionally, that's basically the easy setup for any creator or filmmaker with the tripod, the camera and the microphone. Off you go. So without further ado, drum roll, boop, 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 boop. The drum roll of the great camera you want to check out is dun, da, 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 the Canon M100. Yes, some of you may know that this has been replaced by the M200, but me personally, this has less features, it doesn't have a mic jack, and it costs not much cheaper than the M50. So personally, the M200 is a bit of a weird range. Sorry Canon, that is the truth. And what I love about the M100, you can get one of these for about $250, which is the same as the point and shoot. And why would you get this over a point and shoot? Well, it has a very nice flip screen, which okay, the point and shoot does have, but it has interchangeable lenses like the M50. It comes with a kit lens, or it should do, depending on how you bought it. And because it has interchangeable lenses, you can change it to a Sigma lens or whatever lens you want, depending on the photography or the video that you're taking. But the kit lens it comes with is 15 to 45mm, which is more than what you need starting out on YouTube. So you can basically get one of these. I've seen them on eBay for about 150, 200 secondhand. Just check the reviews of the supplier or the person selling it, just to make sure don't get robbed off. I actually got this truthfully off eBay for about 150, 180 or something like that. And this has been a brilliant camera. I've filmed a few videos with this. I've made some videos for this and around this, and I've used it quite a lot for doing my thumbnails and a bit of photography on days out, and it's just a really good all-round camera. It has the easy record button, it's easy to hold. It doesn't have a microphone jack, but if you're recording indoors or just doing blogging, it's not too windy, you might get away with it if you're close. I have tested that, it's quite good. But for the price, when you think it costs like half the price of the M50, this could be a great first camera separate from your phone. It's a brilliant little camera. We do have a link to this in the description where you can but sometimes get it new. It sort of depends on what day of the week it is, because obviously it is sort of a camera that's been replaced, but they do occasionally pop up, so check out a link to see if it's there. But if not, I would highly recommend just see if you can get one of these secondhand, and I promise you will not be disappointed. And there are very complex hacks on the internet to potentially use these as webcams as well if you're a proper tech nerd, and there are ways to do that, but that's a bit above me if I'm honest. But if you just want to take great photos, great videos, this is the camera for you. It's just a really good camera. It takes really good photos. If you just want to use it as a separate camera from your phone just to take brilliant photos, this is brilliant. It's so light, easy to use, really good lens. Like I said, you can change it, and I just love this camera. The only minor thing I find is you have to pull back the screen to get the SD card out, but that's a minor thing. And just like with all mirrorless cameras, because they have quite small batteries, with any mirrorless camera that I've tested anyway, I'd highly recommend getting yourself a second battery, just for easy of use and all that sort of jazz. So I hope that was helpful. So, question of the day then, what camera or phone do you use when recording your video or film? Put it in the comments below. Just be really interesting to see what camera or phone you'll use, just out of pure interest. At the moment, if you're interested, I use the Canon M50 with external microphone, with some nice lights in the studio. But if I'm doing a short, I tend to use my phone just because that's what YouTube likes, or it seems to be, and that's all gravy. So if you've got any questions, put them in the live chat or the comments below. Hope you got value from today's video. At some point I will add 2 end cards that will probably be here somewhere, over here. I'm going to add 2 end cards that will give you absolute value, that will continue with this great series, the Firewire series. Feel free to comment if you like the set, or I've been changing camera angles sort of thing. You can connect with us on Instagram or see what we're doing on Instagram and Twitter. Connect with us on Facebook and so much more. So check out merch, subscribe, link and all that other jazz. If you got value from today's video, I just want to say, if you got this far, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button if you got value. I just want to thank you again. Have a great day, and ultimately just enjoy what you're doing. Improve 1% with every video you produce. Get value from yourself, give value to your audience. Enjoy what you do, enjoy the moment, and you know what? Have an absolutely great day, because you guys rock. Let's sing it together. Here at the Firewire Show! You guys rock! You guys rock! You guys rock! You guys rock! Sing it! You guys rock! You guys rock!